By Indiana Republican Senator Dan Coats is also on the Intel Committee. He says this was a partisan report, and he does not think that it should have been released. Senator, welcome. Good to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Why are you against this release?
Well, first of all, John McCain is a good and longtime friend. We have a disagreement on this particular issue. I am opposed to this because it was drafted by the Senate Democrat staff without support from Republicans. It is full of inaccuracies. It states that we received no significant evidence and necessary intelligence relative to threats that harm Americans from ISIS and Al-Qaeda and from other organizations. That is not true. This has been very important in bringing down bin Laden and stopping a lot of threats. And this report, this information has been out for years now. So my question is, I'm totally puzzled why it has been released by the chairman, who's been diligent and serious in having a bipartisan committee, released now at a time when ISIS is going to take advantage of this, when Al-Qaeda is going to take advantage of this, recruit people on the basis of this report, which is inaccurate. They didn't interview any witnesses, and Americans are put at harm.
Yeah, that's a great point. Here's Britt Hume last night on the one-sided nature of the generation of this report.
Catherine Herridge pointed out to me earlier, they've had the last 2 years when they could have interviewed the players in this. And, you know, as Mark Thiessen said to me just a few minutes ago, he said, look, what did we just decry when Rolling Stone did it? And that is a report that comes out without ever having consulted the people who were basically accused here.
You know, Senator, here's what I don't get about this in terms of Congress. They came forward yesterday as if these were new revelations that come out of this report. The Gang of Eight, according to the editorial in the Wall Street Journal this morning that was assembled by former directors of the CIA and deputy directors of the CIA, they say that it is completely untrue that they gave any sort of varnished details and reporting to this Gang of Eight. They say we laid it out exactly as it was, and in fact, at the time, we were asked, do you have everything that you need to move forward with this program?
And that raises the question of what the motive is here, putting it out long after the program was terminated, long after this whole thing was vetted, and then this report, which didn't interview any of the people involved. And despite the pleas of the Secretary of the State, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, former intelligence directors, both Republican and Democrat, our allies who see people put at risk because of this. This is, again, a justification for Al-Qaeda and terrorists and jihadist groups to go after Americans and using this as a basis to prompt that. And I just think it's irresponsible to do this at this time.
What do you think Senator Dianne Feinstein's motivation was in all of this?
Well, you know, I can't get into her head in terms of what her thinking was. I know there was a lot of pressure on her from the liberal left to release this report. She's really been good about trying to keep a bipartisan effort here in terms of our intelligence oversight. We need to work outside of politics to be effective. But this one divides us, and I'm just very concerned that it puts Americans at risk and at harm. I was a former ambassador. I know what it's like to receive these messages of go to high security. You've got people out all over the country, and we have an American flag in front of the building, and those who want to take us down use this as an occasion to provide violence and put those people at risk. And I just think it's not the right thing to do at this particular time.
Yeah, and we're going to get into the details of our intelligence arm and how it hamstrings them potentially in this. But I want to just, in terms of Dianne Feinstein, and as you pointed out, I mean, she's always been considered someone who, you know, straddles the fence very effectively, is a very measured person in her work on the Intel Committee. But she was very upset about what she saw as an invasion of the hard drives in a CIA investigation that was done that got into some Senate computers, and she was very open about that. Do you think that has anything to do with her wanting to, you know, get this out there now?
That may have been part of it. Obviously, her staff was very upset. The CIA was very upset that they saw what the staff was doing. And I think that is a separate issue, but it is related, and it has been resolved and looked at. The CIA has apologized for that. They've talked, and hopefully to put us in a position where we can go forward. But there was great concern on the part of the intelligence agency that this was going to be misrepresented and that the rules are being violated in terms of the staff that was pursuing this.
Let me ask you one more question here, because to me, the most important discussion points here is the effectiveness of these programs. And that is an area that has a lot of debate. Do you believe that these programs directly led us to the apprehension of some of these high-level al-Qaeda operatives and to the ending of some of these operations?
Directly led is probably a little too strong of a word, but they formed a basis of intelligence and connections through other people that led us to the takedown of Osama bin Laden, that led us to going after the top tier and learning names of who's doing what, and learning about planned attacks against America and its allies. And so to simply say that this had no benefit for us whatsoever, I think is incorrect.
All right, Senator Jankos, thank you very much. Good to have you here today.
Nice to be here. Thank you.